So what's it like to play Doom?
Blinded by his fervor, the lure drew him in. The priests entombed him in the cursed sarcophagus. The mark of the Doomslayer was burned upon his crypt, a warning to all of hell that the terror within must never be freed.
Hey YouTube, welcome back. 8-Bit Opa here. It's been a couple weeks since I made a video. I mean, not like anybody was sitting on pins and needles waiting for me to come back. Family was on fall break last week, so with all the commotion in the house in the mornings when I normally make videos, I'm like, you know what, let's just wait until I get back to my normal mornings alone because I work at night. But hey, we're up to about 170 subscribers right now. I really appreciate all the love and support. If you haven't subbed yet, hit that subscribe button, give me a like. Share with your friends, even if you hate the video. Share it and say, hey, look at this old idiot talking about. So Doom, my God, I've been waiting to make this video. I finished this on Thanksgiving morning, like 2 o'clock in the morning. What an experience. So I bought the 2016 iteration of this game at the time, primarily because everybody's heard of Doom, right? Everybody's played Doom. Well, kinda. I'll get to that in just a second. But I had a good friend of mine. He used to work for id Software in a development role for a lot of the games that we all know and love. So I thought, you know what, let's give Doom a shot. And I didn't play it much. It was during the summer of 2016 Steam summer sale, and even though the game had just come out, I think I got the game for like 10 bucks or something ridiculously cheap. I don't remember. It was a pretty deep discount, so I bought it. But I've never played any iteration of Doom. Now, before you start throwing shit at me through the internet, keep in mind that I didn't play any PC game. The first PC game, I'm not going to count King's Quest in the 80s, even though technically that was a PC game. The first PC game that I ever touched really was World of Warcraft in 2008. Anyway, so I get in there, I'm having a hard time moving around the first major room with the first little heart thing that you pull out, and I die over and over, and I'm like, you know what, fuck it, this $10, I'm not playing it. So it wasn't a good experience for me. So why did I come back to it now after all this time? Oh my God, am I so glad I did. So with that, let's get into the review, shall we? First things first, I loved it. I mean, absolutely loved it. It was a game I couldn't wait to play again when I got home from work. I know I just finished the Yakuza review, and that was a game that I really, really enjoyed. That was mostly for story, and I made that pretty clear. But this one was all about the gameplay. There was just something about going in for those glory kills that was so satisfying, and I never got tired of it. It was one of those, you're in a room surrounded by demons, they're all coming at you, they're beating you up, they're shooting you with green and red balls of shit, purple, blurry crap, whatever, but if I saw a blue flashing demon, I was going in for the glory kill every time. I thought the levels were fantastic, the artwork was beautiful, the weapons were nothing short of badass in the right circumstances, just overall, one of the greatest experiences I've had to date in gaming. The story, I don't think anyone plays Doom for the story. Let's be real here. I think the story was good that it was there. It gave you at least some direction so you weren't just aimlessly walking around different levels killing demons for no reason. Although there is something to be said for the fun of that, maybe. So the story kind of led you along. I knew the story was about some kind of energy they were trying to harness, and some lady named Olivia Pierce went all rogue on them, and she was letting demons in. For those of you out there who loved the story, great, maybe you can tell me more about it. I really didn't care too much about the story. I was just having too much fun. Like I said, I did like that it was there and it gave you some direction on where to go, but I didn't really care why we were doing the things we were doing. And id Software knew what they were doing with it. They knew that this game was about gameplay and not story, and that's the piece I want to talk on next. But Doom Guy was a total give no fucks kind of guy, and I loved it. He's the guy that I think we all secretly want to be. Doesn't say a word, doesn't have a name, Just pure destruction and a fuck you attitude, and I loved it. There were times when Dr. Samuel Hayden was talking to him. He just didn't care. He pushed the screen away, he just broke the shit he wasn't supposed to break, and I think that was just awesome. He didn't need to say anything. I think a lot of times you lose a lot of character from dialogue. So aside from killing demons, we had platforming. And let me tell you, the platforming, I know there's been some mixed reviews on platforming, and I do my research on these games. Sure, I'm giving my own thoughts and my own opinions and own takes on everything in the game, but I do watch other reviews to see what other people are saying. I'm not trying to jack their content, but I want to see how my opinion compares to theirs. You know what I'm saying? Platforms, I have always liked platforming games. I've played platformers. Pitfall was one of the very first games I ever remember playing in my entire life. Platformers have always been something that I've enjoyed. I like that, yes, there's a lot of death and destruction here. There was some really fun and entertaining platforming going on. Not all levels had it, so it wasn't overbearing for those who didn't like platforming, but I think there was just enough in there to give those of us who do a little taste of something that we love. A lot of the platforming in this game gave you a real sense of danger, at least for me. I'd like to say I'm not scared of heights, because I used to fly in helicopters when I was in the Marines, and man, I used to love doing all kinds of crazy shit in the helicopters when the pilots would do it. As I've gotten older, I get a little dizzy now when I'm up high and I feel like I'm not 100% secure. Maybe that's just human nature, I don't know. But there are a couple places in particular that really got to me. There's one level, I don't know, probably a third of the way through, that you were on Mars and you had to go on these catwalks, and it was kind of dark out, and you're running and you're jumping, not blindly, but you know, you go over a hill real fast and your gut falls out from under you. That's what it felt like to me. Like, I physically felt those things when I'm playing this game on those catwalks in Mars. There are a couple times in hell when you're jumping across platforms and you've got a couple demons attacking you at the same time. You can't jump too far because you'll fall off, and it's just crazy, and I really like that feeling. I like it when a game, something completely imaginary and safe in front of you on a computer screen, can make you feel actual physical things. I really, really enjoy that. For the environment, I loved the environment. The game was just absolutely beautiful. I think they really good job painting a picture, not only just the artwork of the environment, but just why we were where we were. Man, that's a tongue. Why we were where we were. That's 6. When I first got in the game, I did kind of wonder why we were on Mars. They didn't stick around very long. It wasn't like this thing I was hung up on, but the game may or may not have said why. We could have been on there for the energy thing that we were trying to harness or whatever, but now that I've played through it, I can't imagine being anywhere else. I think it needed to be a completely desolate place, but a place that humans have natural interest in, which is Mars. I mean, we're sending rovers up there. We're always wondering about, are we finding traces of old elements on Mars, etc. But yeah, it's so desolate, it needed to feel empty, lonely, devoid of other human contact. I think they did a really good job there. I mean, obviously the levels that you were in hell, I think they did a wonderful job. There was like this one scene with an enormous skull coming out of the ground with horns, and you had to go into its gaping maw to get where you were going. I thought that was just amazing artwork. The demons looked legit scary as fuck, not gonna lie. The imps never really bothered me that much, but I'm gonna tell you what, man, the first time I saw a Hell Knight in this game, I was actually freaked the fuck out. And that carried all the way through the entire game with me. Even though I was introduced to much more dangerous demons later, every time a Hell Knight came out, I'm like, fuck no, kill this guy ASAP. The dudes could jump, charge, they hit you like a fucking ton of bricks. Most of the time, if I had a chainsaw, if I had enough chainsaw fuel, that's what I was using when I was a Hell Knight. Okay, so these are all the things that I love. So what are some bad parts? So there were boss battles. I'm not calling the boss battles bad, because I actually think the bosses themselves were actually pretty good, and they felt appropriately difficult given the environment that we were in. The problem that I had with the boss fights is that you get 80% through the game pretty much before you even see your first one. And there's only 3 bosses. Because I didn't have any prior knowledge of the game, I just thinking, okay, there are no bosses, but in my mind, I conjured up this idea that the more difficult demon rooms, because they were definitely easier rooms, way more challenging rooms, my thought was that the more difficult rooms were the, quote, bosses of the game. So when I get to my first boss, I'm like, okay, well, this is weird, I wasn't expecting it. Again, I enjoyed the bosses themselves were fine, but at 80% into the game, I'm guessing on a percent there. At 80%, why? What's the point? Maybe it's because at the end we do have to fight Olivia Pierce's spider brain form thing or whatever. And they didn't want that to be like just, oh, here, hey, you haven't fought a boss the entire game, here's one to end it. Maybe they wanted to kind of subtly lead up to it with a couple other bosses. I just thought it was poor placement. If they could have put some other minor bosses with increasing difficulty going throughout the game, I think that would have been a much better idea to present them. Some of the rooms I thought were just way above and beyond the difficulty curve. I mean, I beat them all, and but I've never cursed so hard at my monitor on some of these things. I thought to myself several times, honestly, do I even need to finish this game? Yeah, there's a better sense of accomplishment when you finally do beat them, but there were times where I would spend an hour or so on a room, I couldn't beat it, and I would go to bed pissed off, because I'm like, God damn it, I only have so much time to play these fucking games as it is. And lastly, I saved this for last. The music. Oh man, did the music really get my fucking blood pumping? There was nothing more in this game that made me feel like a head-stomping, heart-crushing, jaw-ripping, demon-slaying badass than this music. I knew when that music started, it was time to buckle in and fuck shit up. I don't know who decided to put this music into the game or why, but I feel like no other music would have fit Doom now that I've been there. I felt like our Lord Satan himself was holding a concert and my carnage was like the mosh pit for his amusement. I haven't listened to many game soundtracks in my past, but this soundtrack I've actually had on repeat for the last week. I can't get enough of this thing. And there are some outstanding videos that go along with this shit, man. It is so good. So what's the verdict? Should your grandpa play Doom? Your grandpa's probably a grumpy old fuck like I am, and would like nothing more than to rip to shreds some demons in the pits of hell on the surface of Mars. This game is the second game in a row that I'm giving 5 walkers to. It was just that fucking good. I can't wait to get Doom Eternal. I'm going to pre-order it. Steam has a deal right now. If you pre-order it, you get Doom 64 included. Why the fuck not? Let's do it. I'm also going to play back through the old games sometime between now and the time that launches. What's next for me right now? Well, yesterday I just bought Jedi Fallen Order and Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC now that they got all the freaking bugs worked out. So one of those games, probably Jedi Fallen Order, I'll be reviewing next. I need to clean my PC. It's 3.5 years old. I've never cleaned it. Probably going to video that, so stick with me on that one. Again, like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, the Instagram, whatever. I'm pretty active all the time. Until next time, we'll see you later.